First of all, thank you so much, Nutan ma'am. आम्हाला हे topics सगळे शिकवायला. I had only vague knowledge about this topic. I don't have any knowledge about my own body system. Thank you so much for sharing this knowledge. And I firmly believe that this should be taught in schools and colleges properly. Like we have gotten to know after so many years, and some women after 50 years. So thank you so much for this. So my today's topic is female reproductive system. Just some highlights of the topic. We'll be talking about the structure and functions of the reproductive system, menstruation, puberty, and yoga to prevent gynecological disorders for a healthy puberty. So, firstly, the structure of a female reproductive system. We have internal organs and external organs. Let's start with the external organs first. We have in this image, as you can see, labia majora. This is the place where we have the pubic hair. This is the outer fold of the vulva. Then there is labia minora. This is the inner fold of the vulva, which covers and protects the vaginal and urinal opening and also the clitoris. Here on the top is the clitoris, which is mainly responsible for sexual stimulation during coitus or intercourse, and it has around 8,000 nerve endings. This triangle, the labia minora, clitoris, and majora, is altogether called as the vulva. So in this picture here, you can have an overall look of how our reproductive system looks from the side angle. Starting with here, the lowermost part, labia majora, then inside labia minora, and here on top is the clitoris. From here, there's the vaginal opening. It is an internal organ, but we can see the whole opening here. From here, passing through this, we have the cervix, then moving on to the uterus, and then we can see one fallopian tube and one ovary. This is a side view, but we have two of them. The next one, we can see the vagina. So the vagina is the tube between the vulva and the cervix. It has three main functions. Firstly, it is an excretory channel for all the uterine secretions, including the menstrual flow. Secondly, it facilitates coitus. So it receives the penis during the intercourse and keeps the sperm there until it passes through the cervix to the uterus and then to the fallopian tube. Lastly, it is the passage for childbirth for a natural delivery. So for a natural delivery, the child comes out through the vagina. Next, we have moving up the cervix. So the cervix is a cylindrical shaped organ, which is the neck of the uterus. It connects the vagina and the uterus. It facilitates the passage of the sperm, so from the vagina to the uterus and then to the fallopian tube. It produces cervical mucus. So it produces a good amount of cervical mucus during every ovulatory period to prepare for pregnancy. During pregnancy, it produces a thick amount of cervical mucus to create a cervical plug, as we call kapha in Ayurveda. So in this picture, you can see this cervical plug, which is closed so that there's no contact between the outside world and the baby. Then during the labor, this kapha plug comes off and cervix starts dilating. So this is a zero dilated cervix, moving on to 1 centimeter, 5 centimeter, and then there's a fully dilated 10 centimeter cervix preparing for the labor, for delivery of the child. The cervix also opens up slightly during each menstruation so that the blood flow is permitted easily. Next, we have the ovaries and the fallopian tubes. So we have two of these, two ovaries and two fallopian tubes. This is the picture how it may look like. Main functions of ovary is firstly, it protects and shelters the eggs until it is used in the future. Secondly, it produces female reproductive hormones, some of which are mainly estrogen and progesterone. These hormones are mainly important for developing the female physical body characteristics like breasts, wider hips, and also these are very important during the ovulatory period. These are the ones responsible for the menstrual cycle. In every menstrual cycle, during the menstruation, these levels decrease and hence menstruation starts. Once this level increases, then the ovulatory period peaks. Thirdly, it produces the egg cells. So it produces an egg every cycle. One of or more than one eggs. It is picked up by the fimbriae of the fallopian tube, as you can see in this image, the feather-like structures, and it is taken up to the fallopian tube for fertilization. Let's talk about the fallopian tube now. So the fallopian tube receives the male sperms so that it can connect it to the egg produced by the ovary. Once the egg is fertilized here, as you can see in this little GIF video, the egg goes out down to the uterus for implantation. If the egg is not fertilized, the egg is again transferred to the uterus, but it is shed out every month during the menstruation. Next, we have the most important one, the uterus. So the uterus is a pear-shaped organ. It mainly has 3 layers. The first layer is the innermost layer called the endometrium. This is the inner lining which thickens during each ovulatory phase and also during pregnancy. This layer is shed every month along with the unfertilized egg, the cervical mucus, and the blood through the vagina during every menstruation cycle. The second is the myometrium, which is a muscular layer which is responsible for the contractions, especially during labor. Third is perimetrium, which is the outside layer of the uterus, which surrounds the uterus and separates the uterus from the other organs. So as you can see here in this image, the 3 being the inner layer, endometrium, 2 is the myometrium, and 1 is the perimetrium. Main function of uterus, as we can see here, is to nourish the developing fetus prior to the birth. So uterus has other functions like first uterine secretions, including the endometrium lining. Second, it is the uterus, the placenta attaches itself to this endometrium layer. So it facilitates the nourishment of the first, the zygote, then it increases to become an embryo, and then finally a fetus, and then the baby is out. So these are the main few functions of the uterus, and this is how it looks like during pregnancy. Next, this is the overall how it looks like, the whole reproductive system. This is how small it is actually, and it expands 10 to 20 times during each pregnancy or during one pregnancy. The overall look: vagina, cervix, then the uterus, myometrium, endometrium, then these are the fallopian tubes, fimbriae, and ovary. Let's talk about the pelvic bone. So females have generally wider and oval pelvic shaped bone with a greater than 90-degree angle of a pubic arch. So as you can see in this image, the pink place here is wider and the blue one, male, is smaller and heart shaped. So why is it wider? It is because it needs to facilitate the delivery of a baby. So the baby needs to have space so that it can go down and come out of the vagina, hence the wider more than 90-degree angle. So this is how it looks like. Moving on to the menstrual cycle. So menstrual cycle is a part of every girl of a reproductive age every month. Starting with day 1 to day 5 is the first menstrual phase, which is called as the Artavakal as per Ayurveda, where Vata dosha is dominant because Vayu is responsible for movement in the body. As we've spoken about it before, endometrium layer sheds in this phase. After this phase, there is the follicular phase, which starts from the last day of menstruation to the first day of ovulation. Here, as you can read it here, the estrogen level rises, uterus lining begins to build up, and the developing egg starts forming in the ovary. Once this stage passes, we go on to the ovulation phase, which is the Rutukal, where the Kapha dosha is dominant because Kapha is responsible for regeneration and growth. Here, the egg moves out of the ovary and goes to the fallopian tube, and the endometrium lines thickens for the pregnancy. Now, if the egg remains unfertilized, the egg gets released to the uterus in this Ritu Vyatitakal, where Pitta dosha is predominant because Pitta dosha is mainly responsible for the secretions of the body. So it is getting ready to secrete the endometrium lining along with the unfertilized egg, the cervical mucus, and the blood. So this cycle repeats every month in every woman for a normal menstrual cycle. Next is the topic of Rajaswala Paricharya. So, as per Ayurveda, every woman during her menstruation is called as the Rajaswala. And the rules or the code of conduct to be followed by a woman during the menstruation period for a healthy period is called as the Rajaswala Paricharya. So, some of the rules to be followed, the most important one, as Nutan ma'am has explained us, diet, discipline, and rest. So the first is the mind diet, having good thoughts, no stress, no negative thoughts, staying away from greed or any jealousy. All the negative thoughts shouldn't be there during this period or any time, but especially during this period. Second is the food diet. There should be mitahara, light food, no spicy, salty, oily, or deep fried food, or any food which is heavy to digest. Then we have discipline of complete celibacy to maintain a state of brahmacharya during this period. Then we have rest. It is suggested that it is good to sleep on a hard surface during this period, so that because many women or the Rajaswala faces backaches or back pain during this period, and a hard surface supports the spinal cord. So it is suggested to sleep on a hard surface, and of course avoiding physical exertion, because as per Ayurveda, we say that the woman is in a vranit state, which is a wounded state. The womb is wounded and it needs time and energy to heal, and hence any physical exertion is should be avoided so that the energy is saved only for healing. Furthermore, we are talking about a healthy puberty. So changes in puberty, benefits of yoga and puberty, and yoga asanas for the healthy puberty. Why does puberty happen? Or what is puberty? So puberty, let's talk about a female. The puberty is mainly the process of physical changes through which a female child's body becomes matured into a female adult, which is capable of sexual reproduction. This happens mainly between the ages of 8 to 14 years, where there are many physiological and psychological changes. Psychological changes like sexual attraction with the same or opposite sex, peer pressure, anxiety, uncertainty. All these are psychological changes. Major physical changes are development of breasts, wider hips, armpit hair, pubic hair, and the most important and major development to say that a woman is going through a puberty is the menarche, which is the first menstrual cycle. And then how can yoga help in puberty? As we all know, being yoga teachers, it increases basic body awareness, how to sit, how to stand, how to sleep, how to breathe. So these are very important things for each and every person, let alone a female. Everyone should know this, and that is how yoga helps here. It calms the mind, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, and hence relaxes and calms the mind. It increases body flexibility, stability, strength, improving posture, and most importantly, it increases blood circulation in the pelvic organs, which is very important for a female during puberty. Some of the asanas here are standing asanas, Uttita Tadasana with the back bend, Uttanasana, Veerbhadrasana, Trikonasana. These asanas mainly are very important for abdominal toning, and also some of the asanas like Uttita Tadasana with the back bend or Veerbhadrasana. These asanas develop a bhava of Aishwarya, which inculcates confidence and courage. So the uncertainty becomes lesser. The woman is confused in this state. And these asanas are very important for her mental state. Some other asanas are forward bending asanas, which help tone the abdominal region, improves the blood circulation in that area, enhances the functioning of the female reproductive system. Some of them are Baddha Konasana, Upvishta Konasana, Paschimottanasana, Malasana, very important for further pregnancy as well. Few other are inverted and back bending asanas. So Adho Mukha Svanasana is a standing and a mild inverted asana. So this will also help in improving blood flow to the brain, strengthening the core muscles. Then the Halasana, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, Ustrasana. These are only some of the asanas. There are many asanas, or all the asanas in fact are helpful for everyone, but especially the forward bending and backward bending asanas are important. The forward bending asanas also help to inculcate the feeling of letting go or surrender. or the Vairagya Bhava, which again is important for an anxious female during her puberty. So also the lastly most important of all, relaxation. This period the woman needs to know how to relax. We don't know how to relax, to be honest. We have to learn how to relax, and these yoga asanas and breathing technique will help us to relieve the stress, relax the mind, remove the anxiety, and also prepare us for the other cycles or other stages of our life. So this is how the overall asana practice and yoga practice help the female reproductive system. Thank you so much.